Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys Season 2 with your host, Captain Gage.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gage. This is episode number 39, Season 2, On the Boat. Brought to you in part by Cito Huntington. Are you a member? Visit Cito.com to join today. And the Fisherman Magazine, my favorite subscription to get in the mail. And Clicks Fueling. Visit clicksfueling.com. What's up, guys? Wow. It's a scorcher out here today. I'll tell you, it's beautiful. But, man, every day you got to look at those thunderstorms rolling through, you know. I made it across the sound yesterday to New Rochelle. Had to go visit a buddy of mine at his office, drop something off, pick something up. And, along the way, I was texting guys that were talking about fishing today, and I was telling them about the bunker that I'm seeing and where I'm seeing it, and some were getting worked, so it was really cool to see because that had been the first time for the season that I'm actually seeing boils with bunker on the surface, which was pretty cool to see. I did stop and record a little bit with my phone, so maybe I have it here to throw up. If I could find it, I'll put it up. And you guys know the routine. If I say something and I try to match it up and put it up there, if it's not there, then obviously I had a problem finding it. But, man, so, yeah, tomorrow we got the buck moon. Thursday, you got the full moon, July 10th. It's around 3:37 p.m. It will be the fullest. And this one is nicknamed the buck moon in July. So, the water temp is like a bathtub right now. 80 degrees in the back harbor right here. 80 degrees. I can't believe I'm even saying that. That's a pretty high temperature for the water, for the surface here. We were seeing it around 72, 73 out in the bay and out in the sound. Big shout out to Manny from the West. You guys hear me talk about him all the time. He jumped on the boat with us. Man, we got out into the bay that morning and blues were just jumping out of the water. It was so cool to see. And he shot out to our area yesterday and nothing. Or he came out today. That's right. He came out. We talked yesterday. He was one of the guys I was talking to, telling him about the bunker. And he was coming our way to fish this morning. And nothing. He said he didn't even mark a fish. And again, it's been on specific tides. You got to know where to look for them. They're not in their usual spots. The public is all talking about this one can where the fish are stacked up, and you get out there and they're not stacked up. So where do they go? And it's no secret. It's just, when you work an area so many times and so many days of the year, you have an idea of where they're going to be. In fact, there were guys fishing in 100 feet of water the other day. And not far from us, and we get over it, and sure enough, you're marking a ton of fish down there. We had a bunch of Marines, U.S. Marines on the boat. It was awesome. It was one of the most fun trips we've had, and, that gets accredited to Captain Jacob over at Davy Jones Shellfish Company. You guys heard about me talk about Jacob all the time. And he was on episode 4. He is due back for an episode this summer because he's got a lot of new stuff to talk about. And I love having him on. I actually may see him tonight at the little gathering that we're having. Every week, Bay Rats and Buoys is going to put out a text message to the guys that we are in cahoots with and talking to, especially guys from the tournament. We met a lot of cool people. And we're going to keep those relationships going and, change the faces and the places that we're going to be going to. And it's not just tagging and bragging. So we'll be meeting tonight. By the time you guys see this on Thursday, we will have already had our first meeting. So we'll let you know how it goes next week and where we're going to be, what we're going to do, and try to make it a weekly gathering to get people together just so you can meet some new fishing buddies and talk about what's going on out there. Because, it's really all about the intel. And the circle that I'm in, the guys that are fishing every single day. Not once a week, not twice a week. These guys are going out almost every day. And you're either retired, you're off for the summer, or you're just an avid, hardcore, salty fisherman that gets out there before you go to work or after you get off of work and you're going out every day. But that's the intel. That's where it lies. It really does. Because knowing what's going on and what bait to use and whether you're, using live bait, like we've been telling people, that live spot, the live croakers have been crushing it for us. And the bunker too. Any live bait that you're putting down is getting crushed almost immediately. And it's so cool when you're on a charter and you troll around, you look for them, you don't see a lot. And then when you do see them, you pull up the trolling rods and you drop down live bait because we always have a secret weapon on board. And it is so much fun watching those rods peel drag and handing somebody a rod with a fish on it. It's a ton of fun. And, if they set the hook, a couple of guys, if they're new at it, they're going to drop them like they did on the last trip. They were dropping fish left and right, which, was going to happen. Not knowing. And we instruct you. We tell you how to hold the rod, how to do things. But, at the same time, these are big fish. These fish want to get away. One head shake and they're gone. So if you're doing it wrong, there's a good chance you're going to drop them. And that's why it's tough to fish with flutter spoons with new guys on the boat. If they're new to fishing, you don't want to use flutter spoons. Flutter spoons could be more frustrating than fun. Because you and I know, and I say that to the guys that fish all the time and use them, know how many times you can get hit on it, feel the hit, and not, set the hook. So a lot of guys are reaching out and saying, where do you get spot? Well, there's a couple of shops that sell spot. They'll sell croakers for sure. And, me and Corey like to just shoot around and throw the cast net. So this time of the year, we'll spend a whole day doing that. Get out early morning. And there is bait all in the harbor. I mean, from the entrance to the boat ramp, there's bait all over the harbor. You see them on the screen. And the telltale sign is you're going to see one little splash. That's all you're going to see. It's just a little splash. You're not going to see a whole pod jumping around, splashing around. You're going to see one little splash here, one little splash there, and they're in smaller pods. And that's how you're going to go look for them. And if you find them, you're going to get a few. You're going to get out there. You're going to use them as bait, and you're going to catch fish. I'm telling you right now, that's the way to go this time of the year. But because the water temps are heating up, I'm not seeing much action on the bluefish front. I don't know if you guys are, but we're not. And, this was last year too. So it was nice to catch, like last week, caught a couple of 37-inch blues. That was nice to see some big blues in the area. But we're not seeing them blowing up and chasing things around like they normally do, those yellow-eyed demons, the tackle busters. We love when they're in. They are by far the best fighting fish we have pound for pound in our area here in the Long Island Sound. We can't compare that to the tuna bite and fish in the ocean. In the Long Island Sound, the best fighting fish we have pound for pound is the bluefish. And not to say the albies don't, that's a serious, you're going to get your drag peeled for sure. When you get on a nice 36-inch, 32-inch albie, But as far as the bass bite is concerned, you're going to see a lot of schoolies now. We've actually been catching a lot of slot fish. And that was kind of cool because guys get on the boat. They pay to go on a charter. They want to go home with some fillets, put it on the barbecue. I get it, 100%. Not everybody wants to get on a boat and go tag fish. I totally understand it, We're proud that we tagged 65 fish in the first annual Bay Rats and Buoys Striped Bass Invitational. That was an epic number. And we were looking to hit 100. So 65, that's a passing grade. Barely. But no, seriously, that's an awesome number to start off for the first year. If we could double that next year, and we're moving in the right direction. You get up into 120s, that's exactly what we want to do every year. But again, you tag 65 fish, none have been caught yet. No one's reached out. The Gray's Fish Tag Research hasn't reached out and said, hey, any of your fish got caught. The earliest me and Corey have had a fish caught, we caught it on May 17th, and a month later it was here in the area. And that was the quickest that we got one of our culprits. It was 30 days later. So we're not at that mark yet from the day of June 22nd with the tournament. And speaking of tournaments, I'll be hearing from Mr. Chris Squeary on his way out to Montauk today. He was leaving just a few minutes ago, and we'll touch base regarding the Montauk Canyon Challenge that goes down, starts on the 11th. So that's this week, and it goes the 11th to the 19th, and then they have a festival at the end of it. So I'll be able to give you guys some more details. I'll probably do those details in the fishing report, depending on what time I talk to Chris and get some more of the updated details as far as the tournament is concerned. But if you guys are already in it, you're already in it. You're already going out to Montauk. You're already making your way out there. You're picking your 36 or 38-hour window that you got to shoot out to the canyons and get on the tuna. And there's no better time than right now because even Adam over at Tuna Cartel told me July is the best bite. That's when the bite is red hot for the tuna. And so now there's no better time than right now to get out there and get on the tuna fish. And I'm seeing a lot of really cool posts for sure. And it doesn't matter what size you get on. They're a ton of fun. A lot of guys are getting them on top water action. And to me and Corey, that's bucket list to get out there and do some top water action for the tuna for sure. So, but man, this time of the year, it's now going to be 90 degrees midday, 3 o'clock. You got to look and see when the storms are going to roll through. Like yesterday, a bunch of storms. I was actually sitting in the office in New Rochelle and coming back here, and I'm looking at the radar. When you're traveling by boat, you're going to be looking and seeing, and you can't avoid pop-up storms. That's just, it's going to happen. And this time of the year, that's really what you got to look out for, is the ones that are going to pop up and get you while you're out there. So pay attention to the radar and keep an eye on it. But I saw them going more over Connecticut. I took some cool pictures. I'll even put them up here. I was taking shots of the city skyline right behind me, and dark clouds were moving over. And I'm running away from them, chasing them in. But, man, let me tell you, those storms move fast, and they could be over you in a heartbeat, which I learned like 2 Thursdays ago. And when I put up that photo of the lightning strike right over here in the harbor as I was leaving, that downpour. I could even show you the downpour, the video of the downpour. I played it for a few people this week, showing them what I was going to U-turn into, and I decided to head for blue skies. So just be careful out there. Know the weather. Know there's a chance of some pop-up storms this time of the year because they are lightning storms for sure. And if you see that yellow in the radar, I would definitely pay attention to what's going on out there. And be safe. That's all. It's all about safety. That's why we bring that up. And if you don't have radar, go download. I'm using a couple, but My Radar. The app is called My Radar, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You can even you could share the animated movement of the storm to share it with a buddy of yours, so somebody could be out there on the sound, and you could send it to them and say, hey, look what's coming your way. It's very easy to share with other people, and that's what I love about it. So I'm running 2 GoPros today. Let's see what happens, because this heat, I was actually going to sit on the chairs up here in the shade, but when you're videotaping in the shade, it really doesn't look that good. Much better for the subject to be in the sun, which I'm dying in the sun right now. But I got to tell you, I'm running 2 GoPros because there's a good chance they could overheat. I got to put an umbrella up. I'm going to have to put a beach umbrella for those beach chairs that screw to the chair. 100% I'm going to have to put that over the GoPros to keep them out of the sun and keep them from overheating, because this time of the year, that is exactly what would happen to any equipment out here. Even the board. The board's definitely, you can cook an egg on here for sure. And I put it up before in the sunlight, out of the sun, in the shade like that, to keep it out of the sun, let it cool down a little bit. Because if it overheats, it could shut down. And, man, you look at the screen behind me, 80 degrees is the water in the harbor right now. I honestly think that's the hottest I've seen it. And summer's just getting underway. The fluke bite, guys are getting on keeper sea bass. Dave Brown, who I showed you in last week's episode, talking to him yesterday, and he limited out on keeper sea bass, which is always nice to see. Sean was on some nice knuckleheads. We saw some pictures on the internet. So it's always nice to see when we're getting on the right size fish. Black sea bass season started June 23rd. So good time to get out there is right now. Me and Corey did prospect a couple of the wrecks. And we're bouncing around from wreck to wreck to wreck to wreck to wreck to wreck. Yeah, you just keep going. And it's a ton of fun. It really is. Especially with the new electronics, being able to see it, know you're on this side of it, this ledge, just really able to see it in almost 3D. It's really cool. And eventually we'll upgrade to the live view. We definitely want to see the live view. I know Rob and Howie were using it on the previous boat. Now they stepped up to the Pursuit, the 32 Pursuit. And, even just reached, talking back and forth with Howie. We're gonna announce something big here for Bay Rats and Buoys coming up in the next 30 days, guaranteed. I mean, right now we're even working on January 21st through the 25th at the Javits Center. I mean, we're already getting prepared for that. Those 5 days are going to be a big event for us this year. Last year we stepped into it to see what it was going to be like, but a lot of good things came of it, and now we're going to move on. And there goes one of the cameras down. So let me see if I even have a camera recording. Stand by. All right, guys, we're back for round 2 after the overheating of the camera. Seems like 30 minutes is the max, and it's definitely hot out here. The temperature on the screen when I first turned on the sonar was 80 degrees. Now it's at 81.9 on the surface. It's got to be reading 82 degrees. And funny story, since I stopped the camera, Tony, captain of the kitchen, you may have seen him on YouTube. He's also here in the marina. Does a lot of local back bay fluke fishing, just striped bass. He fishes for everything. And told me that he dropped a rod in the water here yesterday. So 80 degrees. I mean, I'm like, all right, I got a bathing suit on the boat. I got my mask. I got fins. I got everything we can do to get under a boat. I was like, let me go grab a treble hook. And I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 7 or 8 casts, with the treble hook. I pulled up his rod. To say he was pretty excited is an understatement. But listen, we all know what it's like. We all got $250 reels on our setups. I hand guys rods. The setup's $450. It's a $200 rod and a $250 reel. That's $450 before you put line on it. So that's an expensive setup to hand somebody, that could potentially drop something in the water and lose the rod, especially a kid. But, so that happened just now. And I jumped on. I'm going to see how long we got until they overheated. Got both cameras running. The 12 shut down before the 13, so let's see which one outlasts the other. Anyway, it's hot as hell out here today. Epic. Love being out here on the boat. So much better than being in the studio. But we're going to figure out the shading here. We're going to put the umbrella up 100%. And or I'll just move into the back bay like I was going to do it today. I was. There's no wind. It's easy. It's quiet. And I figure this is really just the setting, This is it. It's in the harbor. It's in the marina. Can't even touch the seats. You can't even lean on the seats. The seats are scorching hot. I got to put a upholstery cover over these for this time of the year. Otherwise, forget about it. When you get down to the boat, it's a scorcher. We don't like going out in the middle of the day, unless you're taking the kids tubing, which was something I was going to do today. I was supposed to meet up with Joe DiGregorio. He's out there. I mean, we're longtime buddies back from the Freedom Boat Club. And he even mentioned that in one of the last texts of how long it's been since the two of us have fished together. And we're definitely due for an outing. And he was saying, I was telling him I was seeing bunker everywhere, and he's sure. He's like, I just went to the store and bought bunker. Now you see bunker. Well, that's just how it is. That's 100%, But it doesn't mean you're going to see them on the way out or where you're going from and where you're going to. You might not see them along the way. There's no guarantees. I'm just out there cruising around, or like from here to to New Rochelle. Of course, I'm going to run past them, which is funny. When I see them, I won't even drive through them with the boat. I'll drive around them. which is pretty funny. Just, fisherman's mentality. I don't want to drive through the pod. And you see so many boats coming through certain areas that, are just, they're navigating course and they don't want to steer off their course, and they see 20 boats fishing and they go right through them. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You see it all the time. And now in the distance, coming from the south, I'm seeing dark clouds. I see there's definitely a pop-up storm that way. And that's what you got to look out for this time of the year. In fact, I mentioned earlier about the full moon tomorrow and that it's a buck moon. And it's nicknamed the buck moon because of the deer, the male deer, are starting to, grow their antlers, shed their antlers. It's called a buck moon. That's why it's called a buck moon. But it also has another nickname this time of the year, which is called a thunder moon. And that, to me, is so much more relevant than a buck moon because of the pop-up thunderstorms that happen this time of the year. So I'm going to go with thunder moon as opposed to a buck moon, although I did have a great video on Facebook last year of that buck that we don't know where it swam across, whether it came from Comset, whether it came from Connecticut. We didn't know where it came from, but I videotaped it for a while and got it running up onto the beach by the Coast Guard station, and everybody said that buck's going to get laid. He'll swim, doesn't matter how many miles he'll swim for a piece of tail. That was pretty funny. And, that's when I read a little bit more about them and learned how buoyant they are because of the hollowness to their hair. Hence why we use bucktail for fishing. Pretty cool. And Chef Rob gave Corey a garbage bag because Chef Rob hunts. He gave Corey a garbage bag filled with bucktail. And Corey said it was one of the worst smelling things he's ever had in his possession ever. Oh, God. Chef Rob, we miss you, buddy. We loved having him up here for the tournament. That was absolutely epic that he came up with his son, Gabriel, and him and Gabe got out there. And Gabe got to drive the boat and handled well. They got hit with that squall. And I say they got hit with it because I came back in during the rain just watching the radar. I saw it's going to free up by 10:30. The rain's going to pass by. So I said, I'll come in, sit in the office till 10:30, work on the leaderboard, get everything going, and then we'll head out there because we wanted to videotape a couple of the boats hooking up with fish. And we did. It was so cool to get out there and see guys netting fish and, rods bent. And very cool to have that footage for the tournament. Speaking of footage, the video is definitely going to go up this week. We're missing two very key components, and that was two of the guys holding the trophies for the best video division and the first fish caught division. And once we had the picture of them with the trophy, we'll have a completed video that did come out awesome. It definitely looks pretty cool. And we're going to put it up there on the website, on the social media. And I hope those guys at the Montauk Canyon Challenge have a great 8-day window here. I know we were following a storm that was coming up the coast. So whenever you're going offshore, this is what you're looking for. And, you got to, I tell guys all the time, something we talk about as boaters, you really got to be your own weatherman. You do. You got to get used to using your apps, looking at it, knowing that it's correct, and then getting out here and looking around and seeing where those dark clouds are forming and say, hey, all right, there's a storm popping up over here. Check the radar and you'll see. And, just be aware of that. And this way you can make smart moves and don't get caught in it because it's not fun when you're in the middle of it. I was in the middle of it 2 weeks ago, and, man, I can tell you it was not a fun moment. But you can't panic. You can't. You got to remain calm so that you make right decisions. And sometimes hiding in the bathroom is the best decision. I didn't hide in the bathroom. Plus, there's no bathroom on the commercial towboat for me to hide in, so that's the boat I was on that day when that did happen. But again, I'm not a contortionist and don't think I'm going to go hide in the bathroom, to be honest with you. But it is an option. Corey did mention to me he had to go into his bathroom. He has a 27 sailfish, and he had to get out of the rain because he got caught in that pouring rain. And that's, again, those pop-up storms are going to get you. You're out there fishing. There's one right now. I see it. So someone's going to get rained on shortly somewhere in the area. And hence the thunder moon, the full moon tomorrow. So we're talking about the bluefish, and, we're talking about a lot of different things. the boat show coming up. I say it's coming up. It's January. But, geez, we're already preparing for it, and we're already getting emails from the NMMA regarding it, and we're super excited about it this year. But let's talk fishing while we're here in the summertime. Let's keep it relevant to what's going on and the weather and the water temperature. And is this the time of the year now that the fluke move out into deeper water? Because of the water temperature. So they've been in the shallow water up until a certain point, and then you and me, we're going to bounce into the air conditioning. What do? They bounce into the deeper water because it's cooler. And now might be the time to start checking the deeper water. Speaking of deeper water, we saw fish. We saw a lot of fish stacked up. Now, we were on a charter, so we didn't stop. We stopped over it and jigged it for a minute just to see if we were going to hook into anything. With when you have four or five guys on the boat, you could drop 4 or 5 different things, and this way you see if somebody hooks up, you see what's working. And don't all just drop floater spoons because they might not be hitting the floater spoon. They might hit the mini mojo, or they might hit a diamond jig, or hit whatever you put down. So we saw fish stacked up. We're curious to go back and drop some live bait, and that was working best for us. A live bait. Guys are calling me and asking me, where do you get spot? Usually your local tackle shops in the area should carry croakers. You can call ahead, see if they have any, if they have live tank access, and keep any in the shop. If not, the best thing to do is go out there and throw a cast net. And you're going to want to use a heavier cast net if you're throwing. And I'm seeing a lot of splashing around the harbor. Even when I was talking to Tony, he's like, look behind you, and it's like you see it. You're going to see the splashes happening. And you're going to want to throw the cast net into that. And you'll be able to head out with some live bait, which this time of the year is best for chunking. We're going chunking this week at nighttime, so if you guys want to get out there on the chunk, hit us up. Our friends, our new friends, if you want to meet out there with your boat, come out there and anchor up and chunk not far away from one another. There's a lot of fun laughs going off when the rods are peel and drag. It's a great time. There was one summer night out there, and we were all on the east ledge. There were like 12 boats. And the following day, everybody's talking about it. And even back in the marinas at the dock, you just heard the buzz about what had been going on that night. And it was just an epic night of striped bass fishing. It was insane. Every boat was hooking up, and it was so cool to see. It really was. So it's nights like that make you want to go repeat that and have some fun. Speaking of fun, we're excited to gather tonight for Bay Rats and Buoys once a week. We're going to meet at specific locations that we'll let you know about prior, and we'll do that via text messages and emails that'll go out to people that are in touch with us, and we'll invite you down, and we'll see. It's going to build up to a weekly thing, and whether it happens at one place or we're changing places because we've been invited to a few different places out of the area already to gather, and through other members and through other people, so it's pretty cool. And we will definitely capitalize on that and grow this to be, some sort of fishing networking group that we get together and have drinks and laugh about, the rods that fell in the water, like Tony over there, captain of the kitchen. We all know what that's like. Everybody's dropped something expensive over the boat. I got to say, one of the most expensive pieces I dropped was I had a drone go in the water. That was mentioned to me yesterday when I was in New Rochelle, because that captain was there for the day that I actually sank my drone. They asked me if I ever got it back, and I was like, yeah, good luck with that. So definitely lost a drone, lost GoPros, lost rods, reels, you name it, and setups. I mean, $550 setups, which to most aren't expensive, guys that are going out, offshore, a $550 setup is not expensive. Inshore guys, $550 setup is a decent, rod and reel combo. So when you lose something like that, it adds up on the expense list. And we all have that expense list, so we can all share the pain and the enjoyment that, Tony has now that he got his rod back. So I'm happy to, I'm much obliged to help. That would have been an easy one. I was willing to jump in the water today. It's hot enough. You see the sweat just dripping off me. The shirt's wet. Nothing you could do. I really should have wore my tournament jersey, the tournament shirt today, because it's lighter. But this Simms fishing shirt actually is a very light material. It doesn't feel like I'm wearing a T-shirt. It's very comfortable. But that Paragon shirt for the Bay Rats and Buoys tournament shirt, to me, I could wear that all day. It doesn't stick to you, Not like a cotton shirt would anyway. So I should have worn that. But I'm going to be wearing that tonight to the meeting, to when we have drinks and whatnot. So you kind of look in the bar, you look around, you'll see that shirt, right away. That I'm sure, there'll be a couple of people with the shirt on. You'll know it's a group gathering. So come join us weekly. We'll let you know where it is. Reach out to us if you want to come meet up with us. You know how to hit me up. It's very easy. Head over to sandcitycharter.com. And like we said, we have some big news we're going to be announcing in the next few weeks of stuff we're working on now. And very excited about it. So we'll keep you in the loop. And by tuning in every week, you're in the loop. We're telling you what's going on. A lot of guys reaching out about, hey, where do I get croakers? Where do I get spots? Just because we mentioned it last week. So people are paying attention to what's going on and what we're doing and how we're catching the fish. That's for sure. And, fluking-wise, they're spitting up a lot of squid. So the fluke is spitting up a lot of squid, so you might want to replicate that. Get yourself some squid when you get out there, whether you putting squid strips on to help hold the bait on better. Fluke bellies always work great. So between fluke bellies, squid, pork rinds, squid strips, all that stuff, that has been the go-to bait for the fluke. And Tony said he had nothing, he had everything up to 19. He didn't have 19. He had everything just shy of 19 today, which is ironic. That's, they set the limit. And then August 2nd, I think it switches to 19 and a half. So you only have another month, like 3 weeks left of the 19. And then that switches to 19 and a half inches. So that half inch definitely gets you not keeping the 19s that you're getting. So there's a reason for it. Remember that. And, that's it. DC reached out to me today. I got a phone call from somebody in the data management division regarding a VTR from 2024, I believe. Just information that they needed, and no problem. Much obliged. That's easy. So we keep the reports. Anybody that doesn't know what a VTR is, it's a vessel trip report. So you're required as a charter business to report to the DC per trip. And it's called a vessel trip report, also known as a VTR. So if you didn't know about it, now you do. And that's it. Other than that, man, I definitely lost a half a pound out here today. Well worth it. Even though my lunch this time of the year is very light. It's an acai bowl from Roots here in Huntington. And that's all I'll eat for lunch. Then I go home, I whip something up on a barbecue, whatever the wife made for dinner, and then that's it. I'm done. So it's an acai bowl. And, of course, when I leave with Corey in the morning for a charter, guys either bring us egg sandwiches on the boat. They're always bringing egg sandwiches for me and Corey. Or me and Corey will grab a bagel or an egg sandwich, and that's usually those mornings going to be long days for me, and that's when I'll have a egg sandwich in the morning. Because I'm most likely not going to be back here around lunchtime to get an acai bowl. So that's it. That's the captain's diet. I'm definitely losing weight. It's all on the way. I'm on the decline, not on the get fatter mode. The shirts are all loosening up, which is a good thing. I need a belt on the shorts. That's a good thing. So you all know what I'm talking about. It's called getting old. Anyway, I can't wait to get out there and get on some bluefish. So we're going to look for them. We're going to find them. And we'll let you know where we're getting them and how we're getting them. The bass are still here, yet Manny from the West and Joe today said that they had a slow pick at them. They didn't find them at all. And I got to say, you look in the normal areas where everybody's saying that they are. You're not going to find them there, certain days. You go out there tonight, they may all be there. So that's the changing of the tides. And what tide, where you're going to look. So all that matters. It comes into play. So especially when you're heading into areas that are, not familiar to you, hearing that they're at a can and you show up to that can and they're not there and not knowing where to go after that. So that could be the frustrating part to fishing. And I get it because that happens when we go to areas that we don't know. But you kind of put it all, what you do know for your area, you can put into relevance for the area that you're in and use it to your advantage. Especially now with the new electronics. So we're excited the bass are still here. That's the bottom line. There's a good body of fish still moving through here, heading east, and we see them in the bay. They're in here. The bait is inside. The bass are inside. The bass are in the bay. They're in the back bays. Guys are getting them from the beach. So if you want to get out of the sound and take a look for them, that is also a good idea. And you could live line right in the bay. You know, you could drop down croakers or bunker right there, snag them, put them on a circle hook. And, I mean, we're using a pretty simple setup for them. So we're really just putting an egg weight right above the swivel with a 4 or 5 foot leader. Camera 12 down to the heat. So that's really it. An egg weight up the top with 4 inches, 4 feet, 4 or 5 feet leader. And throw some fluorocarbon onto a circle hook and put it through the nostrils of the croaker. You can put it through the back. You can put it through a few spots depending on which way you want them to swim. And they've been getting crushed. So with the heat approaching and the camera shutting down, we're going to bring this episode to a close for that thunder moon we got tomorrow, a.k.a. the buck moon, and the July 10th full moon for this summer. Well, episode 39 is coming to a close. This is our first July sitting on the boat for Bay Rats and Buoys, because 39 weeks ago is when this started, and it was later into the boating season that I kicked it off here on the boat, and we're figuring out all these nuances. Even the white, it's a white GoPro 13. Even the white in the sun is overheating, and just going to have to keep the camera out of the sun. That's basically what it comes down to. And I'd like to be out of the sun, too. And there's some nice thunderstorms rolling through right now. So hence the thunder moon. These thunderstorms, these pop-up storms are all summer long, especially in July and August. You got to keep an eye out for them. So be safe out there on the water, guys. If you want to get out there and do some fishing, hit us up at sandcitycharter.com. We'll be happy to get you out there on the night chunk if you want to come out and enjoy a fun night with us. And sit out there in the sound and wait for the rods and reels to peel off with drag and bend in half. There's nothing more fun. Looking forward to getting you out there. If not, we'll see you out there. You want to meet us out there? We'll do that too. So you could pull up right next to us, drop anchor, and we'll have some good laughs while we catch some fish all night long. Anyway, looking forward to tonight's small little gathering for Bay Rats and Buoys as that grows. We'll keep you informed. New faces and new places. That's where we're going. And we got some good news coming to you guys in just a couple of weeks. So we're excited to share that as well. So episode 39 coming to a close in the heat. I'm done sweating for the day. I'm heading into the air conditioning to edit this because now I got to put together 3 videos. And you'll easily see some cuts where it shut off because I'm not going to go crazy. It's a pretty simple process. But that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Hope you guys have a great time out there at the Montauk Canyon Challenge catching tuna. Good luck out there. Be safe. Hope you pick a good window to head out of Montauk for your window that you chose. And I'm sure I'll be talking to Chris and seeing how it all went. Keep you guys up to date. Wishing everybody bent rods, tight lines, and I'll see you out on the water. Captain Gage signing off. Over and out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gage on all our social media channels.